Jerome is our co-partner on this seminar today. This will be our last speaker. You go, brother.
Thank you, Professor. I'd just like to say a few words about why we're even here. I'm the 3rd Division Commander for the American Legion. That is a geographic region of South Texas that includes 58 counties, 147 American Legion posts, and about 20,000 Legionnaires. The privilege of being the 3rd Division Commander is that I get to appoint chairman to the various committees that I have. One of the committees is the National Security Committee, and I couldn't have thought of anybody better than General Valenzuela to be my chairman. He is a member of the American Legion at my post in Castroville, Texas. He didn't want to take it. He suggested that Professor Adicott be the chairman. So I asked Professor Adicott. He said he's too busy, he doesn't have time. I said, well, how about you being co-chairman with the general? And he said, how about if I be your consultant? I said, okay, you got it. So I went back to the general. The general said, fine, if Professor Adicott is my consultant, I'll be your chairman. So we decided we'd get together for a meeting. I don't think the Division National Security Committee's ever done much before. My predecessors, I don't think, have done much. So we got together and I asked, do we want to do anything? And we decided, why don't we have a seminar and create an awareness, a public awareness of what some of the national security issues are. So here we are. And I wanted to thank Professor Adicott and the Center. And I'd like to thank the General Valenzuela, for being my chairman and helping with this and participating in this seminar. So thank you very much. Give them a very big hand if you will. And now I'd like to introduce John Brieden to give some closing remarks. John Brieden knows more about the American Legion probably than anybody else that I know. John Brieden is a past national commander of the American Legion. The American Legion was about how many million members then?
2.7.
2.7 million members when he was the national commander. The American Legion was founded on 4 pillars, and one of those 4 pillars is national security. And so with that, let me introduce John Brieden. He can explain more about that to you. Thank you.
And actually that takes me in a different direction he said I was supposed to talk about. But the American Legion was founded after World War I. And those people from World War I really thought they had fought the war to end all wars. That was the first modern war with tanks and machine guns and things of that sort, and gas. And they felt that war had become so horrific that nobody in their right mind would ever have a war again. And then, as the 20s and 30s started unfolding, they realized that that was not the case, and they coined the phrase, peace through strength, that you've heard bandied about a lot, and a lot of people given credit for coming up with that concept, and in fact was an American Legion concept in the early 1930s. And national security was one of the things that they believed in the founding and the building of the American Legion. Obviously, we're dealing with terrorism here today. We're dealing with border security. We're dealing with the drugs. There's a number of things that we're talking about. Jerome told me that my job is to tell you about the official position of the American Legion dealing with border security. And I've got copies in my pocket of some resolutions, and actually I'm going to do something a little bit different. And I really don't even know what all's been covered today. I've been in Corpus Christi the last 3 or 4 days doing judicial training. I'm also a county judge. And just drove up here, and I've heard that last presentation, and that's the extent of what I got a chance to hear. So I don't know what you've covered. But I'm going to talk about the official position, and I'm going to go off in a different direction, and we'll see how that goes. Before you laugh me off of here or whatever. I made some just bullet points to help me from getting all over the place and hopefully make it concise and we get out of here on time. Number one position of the American Legion. There is a legal method of immigration. Use it. There are laws. Enforce them. Secure the border. No amnesty. And anyone we choose to issue a visa to and allow in the United States should be vetted thoroughly. Comprehensive background check. That's basically it. Now, those resolutions are much more wordy than that. They go into a lot more detail than that. But that pretty well covers it. Now, a few years ago, my congressman was looking at the border security issue and was getting input from folks. And I told him at a town hall meeting, I said, that's not quite my view. And rather than get up in front of all these people and they're passionate about their view, I want to share my view in private with you, and then we'll go from there. And I did. In fact, he gave me his personal email, and I sent the information to him, and he told me, he said, you know, there's no way that would ever fly. But I still feel that I've got a pretty decent view. Now, to do this, first of all, this is not the official American Legion view, right? So, this is plain ordinary citizen John Brieden talking to you. Okay? I can tell you that I am a firm believer that what you incentivize is what's going to happen. And we incentivize the wrong things. And if we would incentivize the right things and not incentivize the wrong things, we wouldn't have as big a problem as what we have. Now, would it go away totally? Probably not. But would it be more manageable in a lot smaller situation? Absolutely. So, I think number one is we need to have a solid guest worker program for America. Should these people be vetted? Absolutely. But we issue them a tamper-proof card, and anyone who wants to come and get a worker program card is welcome to come. And my congressman said, well, how many? 100,000, 200,000, how many do we allow? I said, unlimited. He says, that's not workable. And I said, sure it is. Because you see, number two, they are here to work. They don't draw unemployment. You don't find work, you go home. And while you're here, you don't qualify for welfare, or food stamps, or Medicaid, or Obamacare. You are here on a work program. Now, if we did that, incentivize the right things, we'd have enough people. We're short workers, the more would come. If they flooded the market and there's not jobs, they would go home on their own if we wasn't incentivizing them to be here. What about illegals? Well, you got to tell businesses you can't hire illegals. We've got the work card. They don't have a work card, don't hire them. If you hire them, we will punish you severely. And I've thought about that a long time. It's taken me a while to get to my position, because you see, if you get a two-person company and they hire somebody, what's severe to them compared to somebody that has 2,000 employees? And I've come to the conclusion that what you do is you figure out a percentage of the gross of the company and make it severe enough that they won't take a chance, because it will cripple them. Don't hire illegals. And if illegals don't qualify for any kind of benefit and they can't be hired, why would they want to come illegally when they could come through a worker program legally and be vetted and get a card? Now, when I talk about being vetted, do we take criminals? No. We have somebody commit the crime while they're here, take the card away, send them home. Another thing is I have come to the conclusion, and it's taken me a while to get to this point, but Children born of non-citizens are non-citizens. Took me a while to get there. But the anchor baby situation has gotten out of hand. Once again, that's an incentive, and we've got to take that incentive away. So that's my position. I think that if we in fact would have that as our program, if we followed that as our program, we would have a lot less problems. A lot of the problems would police themselves. And then we could concentrate on the other things. Because if all of the other folks weren't coming across the border, it would be easier for us and the DEA to enforce that border. And it would be a lot easier for us to enforce not only the drug trafficking, but the terrorism and the other things that's happening alongside that. So I'm a firm believer that what you do is you incentivize the correct things, don't incentivize the wrong things, and your problem will become more manageable than what it is at the moment. Okay, that is basically what I've got for you. I'm willing to answer any questions. And I apologize if I'm just taking you off on a tangent. Everybody's saying, what the hell is he doing here? Any questions?
What are you going to do about the refugees?
The bottom line is if the government chooses to bring somebody, okay, we've got to vet them. I can't control that aspect. I'm trying to control workers, and I'm trying to control illegals. And what the government chooses to do legally, that's above my pay grade. But I think they should be vetted thoroughly. We don't want to be bringing in the criminals. We don't want to be bringing in the terrorists. That shouldn't be happening. Yes, sir?
I forgot to introduce you as the Washington County Judge. We saw maps up there.
You, sir, are out of order. No, go ahead.
Previous presentations,
Okay.
and it showed county maps, and I was just wondering if you've seen any national security issues in your county.
Not the kind that you've seen there, but just to give you the idea, you remember the big motorcycle fight and the gun battle that went on in Waco?
Yes.
Well, there are a couple of my citizens that were there. So is that kind of thing around? Absolutely. We've had in the last 3 or 4 years, I want to say 3 or 4 major marijuana farms that were discovered. They happen to be on property of someone who lives in Houston. They buy a ranch. They're up every once in a while, and on some obscure portion of it, somebody's running a farm, and it was discovered, and the owner says, gee, I didn't know anything about it. And it may or may not be true. But we're talking about major acres and acres and acres type things that are going on there. So, I mean, those things are happening around us. Luckily, I haven't had to deal with a terrorism situation. The worst thing that I've had to do, and by the way, county judges are the emergency management director for the county and in charge when you have those disasters. We had 30 inches of rain back the Thursday before Memorial Day, and had all kinds of flooding, 4 people drowned. We had boat rescue teams out to try to rescue people. We had some 16 or 18 people that were rescued literally minutes before they drowned. We had another 16 or 18 that were rescued an hour or so before they would have been in that situation but needed to be rescued. And then we had hundreds others that were rescued that weren't imminently in danger. So there were a lot of things going on. I learned a lot. We had scheduled an exercise where we would have the fake disaster and see how we operated. We never got to the fake disaster. We, in fact, had one. And we've produced a 25, 28-page after-action report saying, these are the good things we did. And we did a lot of good things. But here are the things that we need improvement on next time. And so, you know, that's kind of where we're at. Okay, any other questions? Yes, sir.
Was that marijuana real good quality stuff?
I have absolutely no idea. And I didn't volunteer to be one of the ones that gathered it all together and burned it. So I can't answer that question. But that's exactly what happened to it, by the way. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for letting me come and be a small part of this. I appreciate very much. And Professor, I don't know, am I turning this back to you?
You are, so I'm going to give you a